Tommy, can you remind me, what are we working on at the moment when we come into N&L?
Our getting started and moving on processes.
We talked about that again this morning in TLC, that it's really important that we decide how to get started if that's the situation that we need to work on, or when we need to move on. Okay? And what did we say, Lauren, was one of the most important things that we needed to do when we start off the lesson in order to improve this?
Check our checklist. See what we have to do.
Yeah. And then what do we do after that? We have some time. Yeah. But what's really important about what we've got to do, we look at our checklist, and then what happens? We can't just look at a checklist and then go, okay, that's good. What happens after that? Jackson? Yep, so what's that? It's making a decision, isn't it? We need to make a decision about what we're going to do today. Josh was asking me where he could get some materials to do the Cube Nets activity. And I asked, what did I ask you, Josh?
To read the checklist and see if you have an understanding of it.
Good, and what did you find out by doing that?
I know them all.
I want everyone to have a think about because Josh was doing it, he thought he was making a good decision because he was looking at the next activity that he needed to do, but when he actually took the time to reread the checklist, what did he find out?
I could understand them all.
That he actually already knows all that information, so he's ready to? Good. Be very, I know it's very easy just to keep going through the list, but it's all about you guys thinking about, can I do this at the moment or can't I do this at the moment, and making a decision based on that.
New ideas and stuff.
So what have you got from here that's helped you get stuff?
Find out the properties of angles,
So is there something you got from that you...
Yeah. What's his name? Sides to shake hands. So yeah.
Great, thanks.
But we're going to start off by pulling together what we've figured out so far. So how do we add to our definition of what a tessellation is? Keeps going on. What else do we add, Amy? What's the difference between those? So then that's what you found out, wasn't it, Andre? Some tessellations have one shape in it, and other tessellations have two shapes in it. Okay?
Yeah, me and Josh found that out.
So tessellation can be made up of one or more shapes. Now comes the personal reflections for today. So this is where we're at. And I know today was difficult for some people to actually figure out or to find out that information about tessellations, and some people aren't quite there yet either. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a think about a couple of different things. Number one, we need to have a think about, today our focus was on, apart from learning our content that we've reflected on, our other focus was, what was it today, Taylor?
Get started and move on.
went at getting started, if yours was getting started, or moving on. We're going to start with that one. So I'm going to give people some time to think. Was it difficult? Easy? Could you do it on your own? Did you need help from somebody else? Which one of those? You had to get started or moving on, whichever your focus was. Cody?
And checked off anything that I knew, so then I could work on those certain amount of things that I did. And then when I was working on the I think it was the measuring the angles on the triangle thing sheet, I read on before doing the task, so I knew that if I was doing something wrong or doing a mistake, because I didn't know that they measured up, the angles always measured up to 180. And I was doing it wrong, so I read on and then I came back and fixed it.
And I think this is something that we all need to realise. Cody did this all on her own. I didn't have to tell her that she was wrong today. And I think that's one of the first times you've done that, Cody. You've actually looked forward and said, she went, oh, hang on, my triangles don't add up to 180. What am I doing wrong? What did you find out you were actually doing wrong?
I wasn't measuring it right.
So you weren't using the protractor right?
I thought I had used it.
Thank you. Leah?
Well, I went back and checked my checklist, and I thought I was still doing the cube nets, but then I thought I had to look in my book and refresh my memory, but it turned out I didn't really need to do it at all, so then I moved on to tessellations.
And you had a bit of difficulties today, didn't you? What else did you learn today, Liam?
Well, in every tessellation, some tessellations in their angles, it turns out that their angles make sure that their tessellations work or not. So I don't know why that is, but I just found out that the tessellations have to have the angles to make them work.
What else did you say to me today? You said something about, hexagons don't tessellate. And I said, do they? What did you find? What did you learn from that?
Well, we had to test it more than once because we just tested it once and we thought that it didn't work.
Who else has done that before? Tested something once and thought, no, doesn't work, I can't do this, without actually having to go at something else. And that's a really good lesson to learn, isn't it? That sometimes we have to do things over and over again to realise that there's more than one possible answer. Or that to make sure that it wasn't just an exception. Ricky?
Well, I was working on the dice nets with Aiden and Ben. And at first, I was like really stuck because I didn't know what exactly I was doing. I didn't understand the word on the sheet. And then you told me, and then what it was all about, and then I understood every part of it.
So, how many questions did you ask me today, Ricky?
One.
How many do you usually ask me?
About 20 something.
So that was a great improvement. Because do you know why? Do you know why you only had to ask me one question today? No. Okay, and I'm going to help you make you realise this. Because Ricky asked me a really good question today. And he didn't ask me, where's my pen, where's my books, what do I do next? He asked me a question that said, can you explain the point of this task? Can you tell me what the main thing was? That's what Ricky asked me today. Right? And I thought, wow, that's a great question, and that's why you only had to ask me one question today, because you asked me a good question.